is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth gameplay for you. And today I'm going to be talking about something that no fan of a franchise wants to talk about, but something that you just have to eventually get around to, especially when you see what's going on. And that is the fact that, is the Final Fantasy franchise dying? And that's not something I want to say. It might seem weird considering that we just released Rebirth not a little over a month ago. But it comes down to one simple aspect, is that we've had a lot of reports within the last month, just recently a couple days ago, that the sales are not where they were expected or should be. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's because of X, Y, and Z. And yeah, X, Y, and Z can be all good too. And I get it and I understand it. But at the end of the day, if the game ain't selling as good as it should, then that's a problem. And there's a lot of factors in why Rebirth isn't selling. I mean, you look at the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole, the last few entries, they've been kind of going on a downward slope, with this one in terms of a major franchise being right now, at this point, looking like it's going to be the worst selling, which is amazing considering all the reviews of this game. A lot of people call it the game of the year, even before it came out and somewhat after it came out, but ultimately, it's not selling anything like it, and what the problem could be. Now, a lot of people have pointed to, well, it's only on one system, and yes, that is true, and would it do better being on different platforms? Absolutely. But you also have a lot of games that are only on one system that sell really well, so maybe it's not so much that, which wouldn't help, but maybe the bigger factor is that this franchise just isn't as iconic and well sought out as you used to be. I saw a comment online saying that with the last previous Final Fantasy entries, we're in the golden age, and I respectfully disagree with that. Trust me, the golden age, not just Final Fantasy, but JRPGs was definitely that age around, let's say Final Fantasy 4 to Final Fantasy 10. That era, those years, oh my goodness, I don't think we'll ever get to that point ever again, but nonetheless, Final Fantasy used to be a very vaulted franchise. I mean, it was definitely a it was a huge deal. Like, whenever a new one was released, it was a big deal. Everyone was talking about it. But now, it's just kind of like a franchise that people say, yeah, it's good, but people aren't running out to get it day one as much as they used to be. I feel like there's a lot of factors that have nothing to do with the game, and I think that's the saddest part about it for me personally. A lot of the things that are really hurting, let's say this game, for example, have nothing to do with the game. It's just more decisions made by the higher-ups at Square Enix, and I think that's really hurting everything about this. I think, and I'll say this right now, and this is kind of what I was trying to convey in my review, if you want to check it out, released it a few days ago, but this game, completing it and beating it, it wore me out physically and mentally. Like, it took a lot out of me to the point where I got to the final part of the game, which was supposed to be a big, epic, emotional moment. I felt anything but. I was just more like, oh my God, it's almost over. Thank God, because I was just so mentally and physically drained. And it goes into, I think, the biggest reason why this game in particular isn't selling as well as it should be. And it goes back to the decision of, hey, let's split this game up into 3 parts. Because a lot of people are going to look at it like this. Hey, these games, they may be solid, they may be good, but this is a remake of an original title. And that original title was only one game. This is split up into 3 games. I mean, I made a comment saying that, hey, I believe I could beat Final Fantasy VII, the original one, faster than I could beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And that was no exaggeration, because I honestly think I could easily do it. That's how stretched out these adventures are. And while I do love being a part of them, I do love the characters, not everyone is going to have the affinity as some big-time fans. Even though I do love Final Fantasy VII, it's getting to a point where I'm even reaching my limits of it, because as I said, I love and enjoy the games, but they don't need to be this stretched out, let alone in 3 games. And you see so many moments in these games that you kind of brush off, you let them go, but in reality, if you didn't have that affinity for that franchise, you'd be saying, oh my God, like, this is so over bloated, like, it doesn't need to have all this useless content in there. But because it was Final Fantasy VII, you kind of gave it the benefit of the doubt. But unfortunately, I think that's ultimately hurting this. I'll say this, bottom line, if they released with the same quality they did these remakes in Part 1 and 2, if they released Final Fantasy VII Remake and had it be one game and just have a remake of that, I guarantee you it would be much loved by more people. More people would have got and bought it than what they have now, because people look at it from a money standpoint too. Like, It's a lot of money to be spending full price games, not to mention 3 of them. And I know it's over a span of years, but still, it all adds up. And some people are just saying, hey, you know what? I can get the original. It's a lot cheaper, and it's a complete experience. And some people might just be waiting for all 3 to be together and then wait till it goes down and sell there so they don't have to spend. I mean, we're talking about $200, $300, depending on where you live. You know, that's a lot of money for just one experience that's been separated into 3 games. And I think that's the undeniable biggest reason I believe so many people aren't going out and buying this as much as they should be. I mean, guys, this wasn't some game that came out of nowhere or something under the radar. It was the most anticipated title this year. No question. People were declaring it game of the year before it even came out. And people after, they got great reviews and all. It wasn't like got terrible reviews, got excellent reviews. People were saying, oh, this is definitely the game of the year, but it's not selling anything like it. And a lot of games that didn't have the hype or whatnot about it are doing a lot better than it. And that's the crazy part. You never would expect that from a Final Fantasy game, let alone a remake of 7, but that's how it is. I'm not going to get into more about maybe some people aren't a big fan of the direction the remake has gone into, because I ultimately believe a good game is a good game regardless of specific things. And it should be selling like that, but unfortunately it's not. And I think a lot of it goes down to what Square Enix is doing, a lot of decisions that go outside the game, just decisions at the higher ups. That's why I honestly hope, I've been hearing like, you know, the next remake of a Final Fantasy game be like Final Fantasy 9. Please do not split Final Fantasy 9 up in 3, God forbid 4 parts, since that one had 4 discs. Dude, don't do it. You can have a great, excellent game. You don't have to drag everything out. I mean, I get some things may need to be extended to make them better, but not everything needs to be extended to make it better. You don't need to make every little thing drag out to the point of insanity. It gets so ridiculously over the top, and that's the sad part. Is I think that's the thing I try to convey in my review. I love a lot of Rebirth, but there's so many things that if I got the game before it came out, for anyone ever played it, and I could take out all the stuff that it doesn't need, and then I gave it to you guys without knowing I ever took it out, I guarantee you like it more than what you got. And that's a sad reality, a sad part to me, because there's so many moments that just we don't need. They don't add anything to the game. They're not, you know, making me enjoy the welcome. They're overstaying the welcome, because it's making the parts I really do love, you know, get, you know, overshadowed by parts that just, they're not big, but when you collectively combine them together, they add up over time, and that's the problem. I think a lot of people are just worn out. They're worn out, tired of it, and they're just like, man, do I really want to suffer between this long, overlong thing that's just part of an entire experience? Not just it's like a sequel or something, but it's just part. It's not it's supposed to be some brand new. It's part of a 3-part process. Not to mention how much money you think it costs to make all 3 of these things. I hope, you know, Sony paid Square enough, and, you know, and that's another thing. Sony's got some blame to go along with this as well. But overall, a big decision for the future of this franchise has got to be made, and it's got to be made now, because this cannot sustain itself. You know, for these high production costs, games dragged out to 3 games when it should only be 1. They got to change something good, but that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you think they should do for the future of this franchise to make it be what it used to be and to be successful and actually sell really well when it used to? Let me know down in the comment section down below, but thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully I see you guys back on the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.